and welcome to a new video of Spinal Tap versus Bad News. Which of them is most like being in a real rock and metal band? This is part number 3. We've done obviously parts 1 and parts 2 before this. We are going to compare Bad News and we are going to compare Spinal Tap. We're going to do one scene from each of them and find out from those scenes and compare them to being in a real band. Having been in a real band, having toured, played music, done the studios, etc., and obviously working with other bands on a regular basis, I can pretty much tell you what I believe from my own personal experience of these to be genuinely real scenarios that can happen versus played up and over the top. So without further ado, let's go and check out Bad News. This is the Bad News trailer. Let's go check this one out. So this is, I believe, them about when they're getting the band back together, actually this isn't from getting the band together, this is the first time when they're going on the road. So this is from the first Bad News from Comic Strip Presents. Let's do this.
No, come on, Spot! Yeah, what time did you call this then?
Oh, I smashed the window, Spinal, sorry.
Nice bit of Colin Grigson in the background, or Rick Mal playing up his part amazingly well here. Picking up the band, getting people together, music playing. Yeah, that can be. It's a classic road trip kind of thing, but in most cases, bands actually tend to be pretty well organised as far as getting their stuff out and on time and loading up it. They do nowadays anyway. I don't know so much in the 80s how it was, but nowadays bands seem to be pretty well structured about there and take it quite professional. Yeah, let's see what else happens.
Sorry.
Never mind then. It's all anarchy, isn't it?
Look, are you ready now then?
No, sorry, I've got to go and sign on at 10:30.
What?
No.
Joe, get it?
So this was yeah. So here we go. So it's filmed live at Monsters of Rock Donington. Now I remember people talking about this. There was they put them on for, I think it was 2 songs. Yeah, they sandwiched them in between some other bands, and they told everyone in advance about what was going to happen, and they were expecting lots of booing and stuff like that. Problem was, people actually got into them, so they had to overdub some of the crowd noises of people booing them and stuff like that.
They were absolutely awful.
I do like the fact they got different rock stars and stuff. Ozzy and wasn't it Lemmy? I think comes up in a minute.
The first number went quite well. Well, the first part of it did, and that's when the audience rushed the stage.
Okay, so yeah, getting the band back together, or getting the band together to go on the road. There's quite a lot of stuff missing from this particular one, but yeah, the filming of the Donington was quite interesting. Sheer anarchy, and then getting the different people to sort of say. I think Lemmy did one, Ozzy did, of course, there, and I think it was a third one, which I cannot remember. I don't know if it was Coverdale or something like that, but it was very interesting. And with Dendelis at the end, they're getting beaten up. I don't think most people would just kind of just boom off the stage if you're that bad. Most nowadays, you probably just get people to laugh or will just walk out and go to the bar. If you're that bad in a room, people will just leave. Simple as that. So realistic wise, not really on that particular one. I don't think Bad News has really. They've kind of taken it to an extreme on here. So, okay, we're going to check out some Spinal Tap. Now, this is where apparently Spinal Tap play an Air Force base. So this should be pretty interesting. Let's check this one out. See how realistic this one is.
Listen, I don't even got time to go to the hotel. I think you're going to go straight to the base.
Okay, so she's just announced. This is with Janine had taken over as the manager, where being co-manager, because you've got the lead singer, guitarists, girlfriends. He's brought her in as part. Now this is all a bit of a power play of the band, and can get a bit difficult when your lead singer's wife or girlfriend is becoming the band's manager. Now this has happened in some famous situations. Sepultura, we've got it with Ozzy, and this can cause friction within the rest of the band. So that's quite realistic so far.
To what?
Bass?
Yeah,
To the Civic Arena, right?
No.
It fell through.
We had it.
Civic.
Wait a
It fell
second, wait a
through.
second.
It's
Hold it,
a
hold it.
booking,
Do you know about this and we don't know about this?
So gigs falling through. can happen. You tend to get a little bit more notice. The likelihood of them turning up and then finding out a couple of days or so before that a gig's fallen through will usually only happen if ticket sales have not hit expectation, but that's usually far in advance. It'll give you a much better chance to rebook into a new venue with the existing tickets being moved across. The likelihood of a venue just kind of suddenly just stopping and then you having to go and play somewhere completely different is unlikely, but can happen to some degree.
We're going to the Air Force Base.
Why are we going to an Air Force base?
Because the original gig fell through.
So the likelihood of a heavy metal band getting booked at Air Force Base to play a show for the Air Force people, that I can't ever see happening. I mean, they're going to want a function band. They're not going to want Spinal Tap. I can't believe that could ever happen. I'd be surprised if anyone knows of a situation where something like that has happened. But likelihood of them booking it somewhere else, yes.
Hoekstraat, you are Spinal Tarp?
I'm
Spinal Tarp.
Spinal Tap, my mistake. I'm Lieutenant Bob Hoekstraat, and welcome to Lindbergh Air Force Base. Is this your gentleman's first visit to a military facility? Yes. Fine. May I start by saying how thrilled we are to have you here. We are such fans of your music and all of your records. I'm not
Nigel
speaking of
Tufnell's
yours
just
personally,
feeling
but
like,
the whole genre
why
of
am I
rock and
here?
roll and so many of the exciting things that are happening in music today. And let me explain a bit about what's going on. This is our monthly At Ease weekend. It gives us a chance to kind of let down our hair, although I see you all have a head start on it. These haircuts wouldn't pass military muster, believe me. Although I shouldn't talk, my hair's getting a little shaggy too. Better not get too close to you, they'll think I'm part of the band. I'm joking, of course. Shall we go in and I'll show you around?
Right.
Walk this.
It doesn't look like there's a lot of people there. So for an Air Force Base, that seems to be maybe 50 people there. That's not a lot of people for a social gathering. In some sort of hangar. That hangar is definitely not designed for playing rock music. That is going to reverb and sound absolute trash in there.
This way, please, right through here. Did you ever run into a musical group, works out of Kansas City, calls themselves Four Jacks and a Jill? They've been at a Ramadi Inn there for about 18 months. If you're ever in Kansas City...
Look at those big metal doors, the sliding hangar doors. This is in a big giant hangar. Those sliding hangar doors are just going to be vibrating with the music. Everything's going to be just bouncing off walls. It's going to be horrendous as far as the actual sound that people are going to hear.
And you'll want to hear some good music. You might want to drop by. I would like to get the...
I love his face.
About 1,900 hours, if that's satisfactory. I make it now, it's about 1,830 hours.
So that's what, 50 hours?
So we all know 1800 to 1900, so it's 1 hour difference, or 30 minutes is what they've been given them. The thing of a band turning up and getting 30 minutes to play, now effectively that's giving them a check to do what's called a line check. So you're not going to get a sound check. They're not even going to have had their own gear unless they had equipment getting flown. Now, if they've flown in, the likelihood is they're just using house gear, unless they've got their own road crews with trailers and stuff going on, but which is probably more traditional, especially if it's your own venue and you were hiring a venue and you were hiring everything. So my guess is that they've got a few bits of their own, but basically the backline is they're going to use the venue's backline here. But 30 minutes from just walking through the door to being told you've got to start playing in 30 minutes, that's not really the case unless the band's turned up very late.
That's actually about 30 minutes, about a half hour, give or take just a few minutes. I don't want to rush you. The idea is if we can get it on and we get it over with. And I have just one request.
Get it over with.
Slow numbers so I can dance.
Working on a sex farm.
So just hang on. So I scroll it. Come on, go back a bit. So if you have a look here, so we've got effectively their entire stage set up there. We've got their drums, gongs. So who got there early enough to settle that up with the old classic fake Marshall stacks behind hand? Behind hand? Yeah, I don't know what that said. Behind hand. Okay, apparently. I mean, even some of his cymbal placements up the top here. How is he reaching some of those cymbals? That's insane. Okay. Not a big fan of their guitar sound. Oh, look, fact is that apart from Nigel Tufnell, they're all still trying to put on a show. They're still trying to put the energy in there. They're trying to put on a good performance for this audience, even if the audience is not appreciating it. And that's true, you have to do that. Okay, instrument malfunctions on stage do happen. The fact of maybe the older models of wireless technology frequencies potentially could have some crossover with those, but they usually use completely different frequencies, so the chance of them picking up radio chatter from the bass is probably pretty slim, but it makes for good comedic actions. And wireless packs causing problems on stage is a well-known thing that can happen, which is always why it's good to have a cable ready just to flip in straight into the input socket and just strip it in, so you can just unplug the wireless connection and go straight into a cabled one if this problem ever does occur on stage. So this can happen. I love the fact he's just smiling away at that, which is true. He's trying to keep the show going, keep it going, keep the audience going. You've got the bass player looking over, trying to see what's going on, and that he really just needs to focus on what he's doing. But it's true, you do happen when something goes wrong on stage, you do tend to go over and look and see what's going on and happening. And I've done the same from behind the drum kit. I'm kind of talking to the guys, going, everything okay? Trying to play the song, and so I know that when I get to the end of that song, we need to give time to that bass player or guitarist to sort out what they need to. Just the main thing is to try and get to the end of the song if you can. Look at the amount of trailers and equipment they've got running there. That is not something that can just be simply set up. So they must have had a road crew well in advance setting up the whole stage and everything else for them.
We totally ruined the gig there.
Did he ruin the gig? Probably not. He probably just did what any sane person bloody would do in that case, which was it was a train wreck of that gig. That gig should never have been booked. But if you get 1 or 2 fans out of it, it's probably still not worth it for the amount of money that you're spending, considering unless they're paying you a decent amount of money for it.
He walks off and then, I mean, he can't be expected to sit home and get money, so we've got to get someone else in there.
Has he ever done this before? Has he ever
Well, no,
quit the band before?
No, but it's, you can understand that, like, in the world of rock and roll, there are certain changes that sometimes occur.
So people quitting a band in the midst of a tour does happen. And that's why it depends on what the role is. So vocalist quitting in the middle of a tour is definitely a no-go. Drummer, again, kind of a big no-no if you've got that issue. Guitarist-wise, you can sometimes muddle through if one guitarist quits, where you can just drop a solo out, or as long as or if the lead guitarist can learn the rhythm parts, you can kind of muddle a set together if it really comes to it. And say with bass, unless the bass is made lead, you can kind of get away with 2 guitars, fatten the tone up. But if your drummer goes and your vocalist goes, you're gonna have real troubles even filling in for one show.
And you've just got to sort of roll with them, I mean, you read that, you saw exactly how many people have been in this band over the years. 37 people have been in this band over the years. I mean,
37 people in the band over the years. There are a few bands out there, probably Kane. If you're ever watching this video, you know who you are, who could probably kind of try and match that for members of people that have been in a band. But yeah, that's kind of excessive, that amount of people.
I mean, it's like, 6 months from now, I can't see myself missing Nige any more than I might miss Ross McLaughlin or Ronnie Pudding or Denny Upham or little Danny Schindler and any of those,
I can't believe that. I can't believe that, you're lumping Nigel in with, these people that you played with for a short period of time.
Well, I'm sure I'd feel much worse if I weren't under such heavy sedation, but still in all, I mean, you've got to be realistic about this sort of thing, you know.
Not very
What happens to
sedated.
the band now?
What do you mean?
I mean, he's not coming back, or
No, we shan't work together again.
Dun dun dun. Okay, so how realistic was that last one? Well, there are elements of it, so it's all kind of blown up out of proportion to some degree. But I would definitely say, again, Spinal Tap versus Bad News. Spinal Tap was definitely the more realistic, even though most of the scenarios in there are a little bit extreme. So the having a concert hall venue cancelled and not knowing about it, and then playing an Air Force base for a function as a function band, that's just not going to happen. The band would never have gone to it. They would probably just not even turned up and played. With that sheer number of equipment, the army base could not have afforded to pay for them for that amount of stuff because of the road crew, etc. But it was still very, very funny, and it's still a classic film. If people have not watched it, it makes me, every time I watch one of these clips, want to go and watch the film again. But if you have never seen Bad News, go check out Bad News and the comic strips from those, because it's another piece of great British comedies. Now, if you like this video, please do subscribe, click the bell icon, like and share. I'll see you on another part for the Spinal Tap versus Bad News. Take care.